The opinions and comments expressed on this show are a representation of the cast and the cast only. Nothing said on this show is intended to disrespect or offend any one person or group of individuals. We are solely here to talk our shit, and that is what we fully intend to do. This is Talk to Me Nice. What's going on, people? Thanks for tuning in. We got a great show for you today. Y'all know what it is, man. It's your boy CP The Real. I'm your host, and this is Talk to Me Nice. As usual, here with the family, the crew, the queen, Miss Tavia, and everybody's favorite big homie, Mr. Von Solo. Poke Fit is not here with us tonight. He is traveling, promoting Poke Fit. Shout out to Chris. We love you. We'll see you next week. But y'all already know what time of day it is, man. Let's get into the sip of the week. Big homie, let him have it.
This week's sip of the week is called Childish. It's Tito's vodka with a splash of Sprite and a splash of lemonade, depending on how you want to do it. Childish is really a springtime, summertime type drink. Yeah. It's when you reach the point in life where you where your kids have got old enough and you can kind of delegate the work and you can sit back and kick your feet up. You can kick up your feet and put your boots on the table like if you got those Chelseas. That's what I was thinking about.
Facts.
Chelsea. I don't have any Chelseas, but one of these days I would love to be just like you.
Hey,
CP.
Christmas coming up. You know what I mean? I got you.
Oh, man. See that? Y'all got it.
Size. What size you? Size?
We'll keep it to ourselves. Probably a 16.
16? All right. I got you.
Boats.
Yeah, we got a great show for you guys today, man. The topic of this week is parenting, traditional versus non-traditional. This is an exciting topic, man. I think a lot of us, the younger generation today, we popping out kids like
Pop-Tarts.
Like Pop-Tart, yeah.
Lego my ego.
Yeah, man. So I think times have evolved, times have changed, and I think parenting is a very pivotal conversation in today's society. I know for me personally, I'm trying to figure it out, every day, man. There's no rule book, there's no playbook. There's no blueprint to this shit, man. So it's trial and error. But I do feel like there are certain things that can either lead your child, left or right. But I also think that society has played a major part in how we, quote unquote, rear our kids. I learned that in school. They said, don't say raise your kids. It's
rear.
How you rear your kids.
Right.
But yeah, man, so let's dive into that. Big homie, man, we'll throw it to you, man, just from a generational perspective, man, because I can speak to how I grew up and now, but I know for a fact, just speaking to big homies and, some of my older partners like you, man, I guess we had it easy, man. They tell me, when the way you grew up and the way I grew up was night and day, man.
It is. It's a little night and day. I think life itself is about making adjustments and being flexible. You never know what's going to be really thrown at you, and so the way that we were raised are kind of put to the test. Things were a little bit more physical when I was a child. It was a little bit less talking and more of, hey, you do what I tell you to do, and I kind of brought some of that over with me to my parenting. And our parents are our first models, whether and our first teachers, whether we're talking about financials, education, or whatever, and discipline. And so
so when you say more physical, you referring to ass whoopings?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you got whooping for everything. You got whooping for not making your bed.
Facts.
You got whooping for staying in the bed too long. So that bed, just hanging around that bed wasn't really safe. You had a nice little sweet spot, not just laying in the bed, but you had a sweet spot in time. Yeah. If you in that thing too long in the morning, my grandmother would whoop your ass. Like, for real. We had to get up at 7 and make our beds and get up and do whatever chores she had for us. But she already had breakfast ready. You see what I'm saying? But I didn't mind getting up because I already smelled sausage.
Nah, you ready?
I was already up. Shit, good morning. Man, it's a little bit easier to get up. And thinking about that, man, I miss some of that stuff, man. And I carry that over to when with my raising of my kids, I used to love the smell of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I love the smell of it because my mom and dad did it every morning. And my mom and dad always made breakfast.
You said you woke up at what time in the morning?
We was out to bed at 7. It wasn't no lounging around. It wasn't no lounging.
Things have definitely gotten
it wasn't no lounging around. It was more so with my grandmother than it was with my mom.
Okay.
My dad went to prison at some point in time, and so my mom kind of raised us on her own with with the help of my brother and stuff. So.
All right, so let's talk about this discipline, man, because I mean that's a major part of traditional versus non-traditional. You got the parents who read books and believe their children are equal. Nowadays it's a democracy, no longer a dictatorship.
Oh, no.
So that level of discipline back in the day, was that effective from a parenting style? Was that effective for you, being whooped?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think that's just what was status quo there. Everybody was getting whoopings, and it didn't matter what you got whooped with. I can go down the line and tell you stuff I done got beat with or popped with, and it was just I didn't feel like it came from a place of anger.
Yeah.
They was trying to teach me something.
Yeah, but that's so my question is, did you learn that? Like, what was
Absolutely,
was getting your ass whooped really effective for you?
For me, it is.
Yeah.
For me, it is. I've never been in prison before or jail.
And you attribute that to ass whoopings?
You goddamn right. You goddamn right. Yeah, man, I was afraid of my mom. I mean, at one point, I didn't want to. It went from being afraid to I don't want to embarrass you. You know what I'm saying? Out of respect for you, it was a level of respect. And as I got older, the whoopings kind of phased away. But I knew, what I'm saying? I knew what to do in those situations. Whoopings are not really, I think, they're for that time, but they carry on. Those lessons carry on. So later in life, if you don't get beat now, the world gonna beat you. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's right, because I didn't carry it over and beat the hell out of my kids like I got whooped. But the stuff I was doing as a kid, I remember tearing up a bunch of stuff, and so it probably warranted getting my ass whooped. I was always into stuff. So
what about you, Queen? Everybody know you got baby boy, baby Aiden running around here. You whoop Aiden?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's a struggle because I feel like sometimes my child doesn't understand, or maybe I'm not hitting them hard enough. I don't know. But it's like I can whoop you and you right back to doing what you're doing before. So I kind of contribute that maybe to not letting him thoroughly understand what the whooping is for. Because
maybe the whooping's not effective. That's why I asked.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, I don't feel like they're really effective for him. But at times, like if we're out in public and I need like an immediate, I'll like pop his little hand or something because. Oh, I thought Homie was shaking his head.
I was burping. I'm sorry.
I would like pop, like if we're in Walmart and he's screaming and stuff. This has literally happened before. He wanted a toy and I said no, and he was just like getting really loud. So I just popped his little legs and he stopped. But it was like an immediate thing that I needed.
So what about so let's rewind a little bit. And it's different. And I'm glad we have you to speak for the women. So obviously, I think growing up as a black male, that discipline looks a whole lot different because I just don't see a lot of parents beating on, their princess or their daughter. So I know you clearly got ass whoopings. So how did that transpire for you growing up? I mean, did you actually get whoopings from your parents?
I did. My because
I didn't think Daddy hit his princess.
Oh yeah, only twice my entire life.
See what I'm saying?
Only twice, but I was a good kid. I
was just good, but that's subjective.
Right, I was.
That is subjective.
I was good where I didn't warrant a whooping. Like my brother was just like deliberately disobedient.
Yeah, we do our stuff up front. Y'all sneaky.
Yeah, so I was sneaky. So, but what worked for me was like punishment.
Okay, I was gonna ask you. So what was your form of discipline? If it wasn't just ass whooping, what was your form of discipline?
I feel like both were kind of effective. So for one, a whooping, I did not want to. I hate being spanked, hit. I don't like that. I don't. It's just, I feel like, so I didn't want that. But I feared getting a whooping. So there was a lot of stuff that I just did not do because I'm like, I know this is going to warrant. But that punishment, though, that punishment because you have to live with yourself day in and day out while you can't do the one thing that you want to do and think about what you did.
What that punishment look like? TV? I mean, at that age, what? TV?
No.
I'm sure you ain't played no video game. What's that, going out?
No, it was that. It was TV. So first of all, my dad's house, he didn't believe in letting kids get comfortable. So I didn't have cable. I had the little antennas.
He didn't believe in letting kids get comfortable.
No, I don't
Yeah.
have TVs in my kids'
See,
room.
and I
don't-
had a TV
for-
with antenna and a DVD player and a PS1 that I could play from time to time. Okay. When I got on punishment, my dad took my door off my privacy. So he took
You
the
ain't
door
paying
off the
for
hinges.
nothing.
Yep,
You
he
right.
said you don't have privacy. That's a privilege. He took all my like clothes, like my casual clothes. I had a gray pair of sweatpants, a blue pair of sweatpants.
He had the rotation going.
I didn't have. I only had a brush. I didn't have a comb. No makeup. No purses.
Oh, man, that's a lot of thought.
no
going
friends.
into
And it's
Oh,
like,
he had to make it hurt.
yeah. So I felt
Did he
that. I go to
need no
school
makeup?
now. Yeah, I go to school now looking real regular in a regular backpack, no purse. I got to carry my stuff. It was just. A
Was
mess.
that effective for you?
It was.
Yeah.
I never did that again. Over a boy, of course. I'm like,
Of course.
I'm like, of course.
Of course. Y'all go
I broke
gaga
up
in
with
high
him.
school.
I literally broke up with him, and I'm done for until my senior year. I ain't thinking about boys. I'm focused on my schoolwork. It worked.
I'm in the same boat with you, but I think your generation was a little bit more aggressive. You know, we watch these old movies and these jokes about grabbing a switch and shit like that. Like, my dad's never told me to go grab a goddamn switch.
He looked like he did. That's what's so messed up about it. He looked like he whooped some ass.
He looked like a switch type nigga.
He looked like a switch type of guy all the way. You surprised me.
Yeah. Nah, man, it was straight belt, man, or hands.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
it
you know,
was-
that's the same thing.
Yeah,
You-
man. So
A switch is old school, man. You
Switch,
only
right?
grab switches. Switches was a switch situational thing.
Okay,
it wasn't
that
your go.
just a routine.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't your
okay,
go-to
okay.
thing. Like you get in trouble at church and you out in that parking lot, go over there and grab the switch.
When you
Oh,
embarrassed us.
Ooh, man, just
Yeah.
me arguing and fighting with my sister.
Yeah.
You know, I was bigger. I had shot up in size, and my sister was right up underneath me. And mom taught me open the doors for both of y'all, close the doors. You know, I didn't have no problem with that. But it got to the point my sister wanted to sit in the front seat. We had a 2-door Regal, and I can't sit in the back. Siobhan, you're gonna have to sit in the back. No, I'm sitting in the front. And mama wasn't even at the car yet. Oh man, we done got to tussling and wrestling. I messed around and slipped and popped her in the mouth. My life left.
Your life left.
Left. My spirit flew up right there. I knew I was about to die. I just knew I was, man. I didn't try to do that. My sister always hit on me, and I never could help back. Never did I want to, but that was one of those days where that switch conversation definitely came out. That's a switch situation where, you know, go over there and grab so you have. Go get me one of them switches and better not be little. And you know, you come back with the little
Your
bitty
switch.
baby. Yeah, man. So at least not in my household. It wasn't no go-to thing.
Yeah.
It got turned into the broomsticks for me. I was just too big, and it got to the point where I was starting to get kind of.
Immune to it.
Oh yeah, me and mama, and I got big, and I was arguing, and I wasn't arguing with mama. I just, you know, you just had your little disagreements.
Yeah.
And she got mad, and she swung the belt at me, and I purposely let her hit my arm so it could wrap around where I could grab it, and I
pulled it
snatched
back.
it. Give me that belt. And mama, that was the last time I did it. Though. And mama was like, "You motherfucker." Ooh, and I seen this rage come through her eyes,
Oh
dude.
shit.
It may have been my last time ever getting a whooping from her. I seen the rage from her eyes. She grabbed whatever she could
No.
and got to tossing. And I was screaming, "Ah, mama!" Yeah, so
Yeah, not facts. I definitely grew up. I think I grew up in the, and I've seen that change from my upbringing and then how I try to raise my son. So I definitely grew up in a in the era where children are supposed to be seen and not heard. Man, I definitely grew up in a dictatorship, you know, household. You know, there was no voting or, you know, how do you feel? This is what you're gonna do.
do you feel like that now?
Do I feel like that now?
Do you think that was effective?
Yes and no, and that's what I'm saying. So the fact that we talk about traditional and non-traditional, I think that type of mindset is traditional parenting. I think that comes from an older generation. It was effective, man, and I think it's individual specific, right? Mm-hmm. So I know me, I know my personality. what they say, hard head make a soft ass. You know, I'm the type of person that I need to be burned. You know, you put your hand on the stove, I'm that type of person.
Yeah,
You can't tell
absolutely.
me something. I need to see it come to life. I need to experience it. I need to bump my head. It's like, oh, okay, that hurts. I
Yeah.
got what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now. And some people, you know, are not like that. Some people actually take heed to advice or whatnot. So I think a large part of parenting is knowing your kids. And it's funny when you think about households that have, you know, 2 or 3 kids. You can't parent all your children the same. Like, you have to understand that each one of your kids has a different personality,
they're
right?
different individuals.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to handle your kids differently, man. So I don't know if my brothers were the same. I don't think that they were the same, just based on, you know, us growing up. I definitely think I took those head bumps more than the other
I
two.
would say so too.
Yes, man.
I would too. I would
Yeah.
say so.
Facts.
You the middle child. I'm the middle child too. I got all the weapons.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah, middle
Yeah.
child, you grow up, man.
Yeah.
It's just you just there, right? So my older brother is like, yo, that's
You
the
just
first.
existed.
Yeah, you just exist. Like, my older brother is like, yo, that's our firstborn. He's the oldest. He's responsible. You know, we put a lot into him. And then you got the baby. It's like, oh, that's the baby. We got to coddle him. And then you got me. He just there. Like,
He's just
come
there.
here.
Watch your little brother.
Yeah, watch your little
Watch
brother.
your little brother. Don't.
Or-
Hey, you got to sit in the back because your brother older than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. God damn.
Well, what about me? What was my turn?
What's that shit? What's that? Marsha.
Yeah.
Brady Munch.
Yeah.
Wasn't she the
Oh,
middle
yeah.
sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, the middle child. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, it was
Marsha was the oldest
Oh,
child.
Marsha was
Marsha
old.
was
Jan. Because Marsha, Jan, and Cindy.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
damn, you watched it more than me. The old one or the new one?
I watched the old one growing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But yeah, man, I definitely think it was effective for me, man. Ass whoopings, definitely. But I think that's with the times, man. And you know, you got, you know, doctors and psychologists and all this shit nowadays. Everybody writing books and doing all kind of damn studies on, you know, what's effective and what's not effective. But I do think toning down on discipline nowadays is somewhat effective. So I grew up in
On
a
physical discipline.
Oh, it's like
physical.
on
No.
Disney.
Yeah,
Wait.
facts. Yeah, let me clarify that. Physical discipline. So I definitely grew up in a traditional household for parenting, and I adopt some of those same, you know, principles. But I've tried to actually be open to non-traditional parenting. So I think that I instantly raised my son with the traditional mindset. Like, when he was, you know, a little younger growing up, it was instantly my dad to do what my dad. And then me looking at my son and seeing how that, if it was effective or if it wasn't, or me feeling the type of way about that, it's like, all right, let me adopt this new generational mindset. I feel like that traditional parenting hinders kids, though. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about it. Like, growing up, when your parents tell you, sit down, stand up, eat this, don't say that. Like, from a parenting perspective, you're teaching your kid to take orders. Like, I don't really think that I had a free spirited mindset to think or make my own decisions. I walked around like, yo, I'm in prison. Like, I'm doing what I'm told. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. So I feel like that's why I feel like punishments help me more, because with the whoopings, I'm just there and getting a whooping. I'm not really understanding the severity or understanding why am I getting a whooping for this?
Yeah.
Why is my dad telling me this is wrong? But with the punishment, I had time to understand,
Yeah.
okay, if my actions do this, these are the consequences. So I feel like it just turned into beating your kids. You're not really showing them, when I'm not here, I'm not going to
Well, I mean, you know what you're getting beat for, though, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying, like, to understand the why, and it's like a beating.
But you said the why. You know why you're getting beat.
Right, but like sometimes it's just because I said so. Beating you because I
What's
said
wrong with
so.
that?
Well, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but when your child gets to be 20 and 30 and they don't understand the whys and the full concept, the
It's
bigger
a
picture.
balance.
Yes, it's a
It's
balance.
definitely a balance. That's why I said. That's why I think. And not to cut you off. Sorry. That's why I think you know, it's a balance. Just don't take all the physical stuff up. So now we got kids charging up parents.
Oh
Right,
man,
right,
I've
right.
You
seen,
see what I'm
I've
saying?
seen it in Walmart.
Don't walk up on me because I'm from a whole. I'm that old tape deck that's in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, I choke you. Don't do that to me. You know what I'm saying? We have kids. See, now we have a problem now where kids don't know their place. You have a place. That's why you have adults. There is a pecking order. There is such a thing called chain of command. Each and every household is an organizational structure. You have a head and you have somebody. Yes, you are at the bottom because you're the youngest. Oh well, suck it up. One day you will move up to the top of your household, and so yes, you have to learn rules that you have to play, and the roles that you play. Yes, you do have to follow my directions. Yes, you do. I mean, because it's not only for you, it's for the well being of everybody in this house, man. You know, so you won't go out in the street thinking that you can negotiate and argue with everybody. You know, everything is not a debate. When I tell you to do something, there's a difference between directives and we just putting a topic on the table and now you get to respond. No, everything doesn't require a response. Do what I tell you to do. You know, especially in situations that call for you to just do what I tell you to do. You know, like you get out in the open and, you know, I done been places in the open, people done start shooting. And you want to start doing all I'm telling you, look, now you want to listen to me and follow me. You know what I mean? It's just situational and it's a balance. So, yes, I do agree with the talking because I do a lot with my kids and punishments. But, you know, at a certain point, you know, earlier in their life, I had to put that little physicality in there just to let them know that it's there. Yeah. That it's there. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah. No. Facts.
Period.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Period. Now,
Facts.
you know, you got to have that little bit. You got to have some little fear. I'd rather you fear me than love me sometimes because people play with people that they love. You know, but when you scared of me, you going to listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. But my kids, you know my kids, man, my kids ain't scared of me at all. I can talk all day and they be like, you know, people like, I bet she's a gorilla in the house. But nah, man, it's a balance. It's a balance.
Nah, fear is definitely a hell of a motivator.
Absolutely.
I was scared of my dad. Growing up, I was terrified.
Yeah, we all the neighborhood was. And I was grown. So I don't think I ought to play with him.
Oh, man. Yeah, my dad ain't nothing to play with.
I'm scared of my dad to this day. Daddy, I'm scared of you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's a fearful respect.
It's definitely fearful respect.
But it's more respect. It's a deep respect. You know what I'm saying? Just when you get to a certain age as an adult, you don't want people to be playing with you. Yeah. You know, don't play with me, son. I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
I'm here. Just know all the directives that I'm giving you is for a reason.
Yeah.
And you know, we had that conversation early in one of the earlier segments. I think the joy of being a dad or mom when you talk to your kids is at the point where they get it, and you can have that conversation with them about, you know, things that you probably didn't understand earlier in life.
Yeah.
Big homie, I have a question because you said parents they're not friends. So you don't think that parents and kids should be friends?
Hell no.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I'm not my kid's friend.
Okay.
I'm not my kid's friend.
When they get to be grown,
huh?
Grown, like when they get to be grown.
Well,
like
yeah, but I'm still your dad. I'm still your dad. It's like I don't. It's a mix. You know what I'm saying? I do have conversations and play around with my kids, but my kids know when I'm you know, being an adult with them.
Okay.
Don't come around me playing with me about some stuff that you know that's going, you know, that you play with your friends. I'm not your friend.
It's like a respect thing.
Yeah, it's definitely respect.
I think, yeah, and it's crazy. Like my son will tell me, like, you ask my son now, who's your best friend? He'll tell you me.
That's what I'm saying. My son is my best friend.
Yeah, my son will tell me.
My son's not gonna tell you that.
Yeah, nah, but he uses the word, and I think it's just a word because you know what's behind it, right? Yes, I'm my son's best friend. However, my son knows that at the same time, I'm not your damn friend. You know what I mean? So I think that, I mean, he wants to use best friend. That's fine. I would just like to say that me and my son.
So he's not your best friend.
I love you, Caleb. Yes, Daddy loves you. Yes, my son is my best friend. Absolutely. But he definitely knows the boundaries, man. But I would say, I think that whether you talk about traditional or non-traditional, I think that as a parent, you have to identify when to change course, right? So I will say that discipline was very severe for me at an early age. But then when I hit, I don't know, maybe 13 or so, like discipline kind of phased out because I was in a mental space to actually sit down and have those conversations. So those are the things from a non-traditional parenting standpoint that I've tried to employ, you know, with my son. He's 10 now. And I'd be lying if I said, I was going to say I don't remember the last time he got an ass whooping, but I'd be lying. I try not
yesterday.
I try not to whoop him, man. Like when he turned a certain age, man, I would say about 8. When he turned about 8, I kind of scaled down on the ass whoopings, man, because again, I think that from a non-traditional perspective, I think that when we grow up saying children are supposed to be seen and not heard, I think that we somewhat stifle our kids, right? I think that we stifle their creativity.
Absolutely.
I think that we stifle their ability to think for themselves,
Yeah.
to question things. You know what I mean? Like the worst thing I want to do is to have my son in a situation where he's so used to or so acclimated to being told, you know, this is that, this is black and white, this is black, to where he grows up to an adult and just doesn't question anything, because kids understand authoritative positions. So if I teach my son, hey, if an adult tells you to do this, blase, 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 he's going to look at me as an adult. He'll look at Tavy as an adult. He'll look at you. And if he sees an adult, he's going to do whatever the hell they tell him to do. Yeah, hey, Caleb, come get in this van. I got some candy for you. Well, Daddy, they was a grown-up, so I hopped in the car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really got to, like, kids, really, you really have to decipher that. So, you know, it got to a point where I tried to stop whooping him, and I had conversations with him. And my son asked me a lot of questions, like, you know, Daddy, well, why this? Or, Dad, he told me one time, Daddy, I don't think that's fair. And, you know, traditional parenting, it was
Excuse
like,
me?
yeah, what the hell is fair? Shut up, and you getting hit. He told me that. I was like, I wanted to hit him, but I was like, you know what? All right, you have some, your brain is working. You have some questions. I was like, all right, let's sit down and talk about it. Why don't you think that's fair? You know, let me explain to you what fair is. You know, you do your part, Daddy does his part. You know what I mean? So I've learned to have conversations with my son because I'm trying to preserve his mental health and his mental capacity when he hits adolescence.
I'm not saying that we didn't have our chances to speak at all. However, when it was time to be physical, the physicality was definitely there. There's a certain, I think we're at the point now where we have some parents, there's no physical part at all.
Yeah.
And kids are going into this world thinking nobody's gonna put their hands on them, which is totally out of which is totally not right at all. You know, if we don't give them that balance, they're not going to be asking them, hey, how you feel in the street. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you okay? It don't happen that way. I think things are a little bit more open in society now, where people have a little bit more rights. We have more women's rights now, and also from a racial standpoint, you know, black people have made some more bigger strides than what it was then. So you couldn't. There's just some things you couldn't do when we was in school, like the LGBTQ, however how many letters in there, I don't know. No disrespect, but
no need for an elephant in the room. There's definitely a difference between
black
and white
not,
when you talk about parenting, man.
You could not do some of this.
Oh my God,
I wish. You know,
I see some shit in Walmart. I'd be like, man, I've heard of, man, kid couldn't have been more than 9. I done heard any Caucasian white boy. I heard a kid tells mama, fuck you. I was like, that would never happen in
that would
black.
have been his deceased day.
But that's probably the same kid who never has been physically touched. It's Timmy, go to timeout. Mommy, I hate you, go to timeout. Shit.
Man.
Same kid that's coming to school, shooting up motherfuckers.
I don't know. I just know I would never do my mom like that. Yeah. I've never verbally
attacked your mom.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, I think after a little while, the whippings or beatings, whatever you want to call them, they weren't for nothing. Right. It was stuff that I was doing, you know. Right. And I seen how hard my mom worked. After a little while, I seen how tired she was. I started choking back on that stuff. Yeah. You know, I started, trying to do what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And those beatings came from stuff that I was definitely bringing on myself. Mm-hmm. Definitely bringing on myself. Whether it was tearing up the TV, jumping on beds, breaking the beds. I remember my mom said I opened the oven door and I stepped up on it and was trying to grab stuff. I got the beating of my life. Yep. No, I didn't break the oven. I was a little bitty kid. My dad, she said dad beat
when have you ever been a little bitty kid?
Well, I was little. Well, by the time I was big, I wasn't a kid anymore, I guess. So, yeah, I still got them. I still got them, and it had definitely had an impact on me. Not only do I know how to handle myself in public, I know when to keep my hands off people too.
Right.
You know, I don't get burnt like that
Right.
because I don't go in that area. So it did do some good for me. But I did have a lot of conversations with Mom too. So
Yeah.
It was good.
Queen, let me ask you something, because there's a lot of black women that are obviously out here raising young men, you know, the next generation. Again, a father versus a mother is two different types of love. It's two different types of discipline. And, you know, when you have, you know, both a father and a mother in the household, the mother typically plays the nurturer. You know, my mom was safe zone. I used to run to my mom for everything. You know, my dad was bad cop, mom was good cop. And with times changing, man, you have, you know, women that have stepped up and, you know, played both of those roles. You know, you playing mom and dad. So how does that dictate your parenting? Like, how's that a balance?
Well, I feel like we take kind of what our parents taught us, and then we kind of have to get to know our kid and what really works for our children. And so, like, I'm listening to what Big Homie says about how his mom did it and how you're doing it with your kids. And I can't help but think, like, when I'm trying to discipline Aiden, it takes a lot of work to discipline your children, because you have to think about what's effective. Yeah, I could just beat you and then we're done. But it's like, if I really want this discipline, whatever it's for, to really be effective, I need to know, like, what's going to be best for Aiden.
So you ain't got to beat him again next week.
Yes, so you can learn, because that's the goal is for me to stop beating you, or for me to stop putting you on punishment.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're beating our kids. We got to change something in our discipline. And so me raising Aiden, like, that's a challenge in itself, because when he's a boy and he's a black young man that I'm trying to raise to not
rear. You're trying to
rear. Because I was raised in a very dictatorship. So when I got to be an adult, I called my dad for every little decision, because
That's
it's like
what
I almost didn't know how
right?
to make decisions on my own. To where now, if I do something against what my dad is saying, it's like, oh, I know it's gonna fail. Where I'm scared to, you know, think on my own. From something that's buying tires or what kind of insurance to get on my apartment, you know, like little things like that, I have to call for every little thing. So I'm trying to teach Aiden, you know, teach him and discipline him at the same time. It's a little bit of both. I feel like you need a little bit of the traditional and non-traditional in order to make it effective. And especially as women that are raising men, or men that are raising little girls, you have to definitely make sure you get to know your kid and do what's most effective for them, because essentially you're having to be the safe haven at times. Because I can't always, when I pick him up from school and the teacher said Aiden's had a bad day, and then I look in his eyes and he just looks so disappointed, that doesn't automatically warrant for a whipping, because now I want to talk to you, like, what's causing you to act out in class? You know, and it's like, what do we need to, like, you know, I'm assessing the situation versus beating him. Because I call my dad, I'm gonna beat him. I'm like, no, I don't really feel like us
Bring him on
him.
over.
Yeah, exactly.
Let Pawpaw get him.
And sometimes, you know, I'm like, well, my dad definitely, my son has that fear of my dad, you know, because he's a man and with the deep voice and stuff. And sometimes he just sees me as, you know, Mommy, I'm sorry.
Simba. Come here.
Well, more like the safe haven. But I have to learn to, you know, put my foot down, because he still needs to respect me as a mom and take me serious.
Non-traditional kids depend a lot on parents too.
Yeah, you said kids that
both
grow up
of them. Yeah, I work with them every day. They don't know how to do nothing. It was like.
Well, that's true, because they have a handicap.
Yeah, they still gonna have handicaps. You know what I'm saying? They might be strong.
So elaborate on it, because I would assume kids who grow up with a non-traditional parenting style would have a stronger sense of independence. You don't think so?
They got a stronger sense of independence, and the independence is in the form of disrespect.
Because they're used to getting things their way.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh no, I'm grown.
What do you mean?
I can talk to you.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You know, like I teach. I had a kid that walked in 10 minutes before class was over with.
Why even show up?
The class started at 8. He came in. It ends at 9:20. He came in at 9:10.
I gotta ask before you go to your story: black or white?
I teach at a predominantly Latino school.
Oh, okay.
Hispanic. I'm sorry, whatever you want to call I'm not politically correct there, but yeah, he was that. Yeah, he came in. And he just casual. I treat my kids like adults. I don't, you just stay open. We keep open line of communication. I'm not gonna, stop you and embarrass you. I'm just gonna mark you how you are. Yeah. You don't have to ask me to go to the restroom. Go. Please don't stop me when I'm doing. Go. If you gotta go that bad, go. You come in class late, best believe. So I had a kid come in. Hey, did you mark me absent? Like, shit, did I? Did I mark you absent? Absolutely, I did. Absolutely, I did. Where'd you even get that thought from? You have them. You see them, and they drag. They get away with. They take advantage of what they can get away with. Kids do that. That's why you need discipline in there. As long as they feel like they can do stuff, they'll do it. They'll do it.
That's adults too, though.
Well,
huh? Yeah, but at least I think we know there's a pecking order.
Yeah,
Right.
They don't understand chain of command.
Yeah.
We are not the same. Don't just walk up in my office. The hell is wrong with you? You do that at home? You just walk up in your parents' room?
Oh, man.
Or if I'm talking to another adult, you just walk
Ooh-wee.
up and start talking. My mama would have took all 5 of her fingers and backhanded all these teeth out.
I'm curious now. I suppose was that a no safe zone? Like you didn't walk up in your parents'
Oh no,
room?
it's always a knock. Door open or closed. It's a knock.
I talk to adults now that are like, yo, that's outrageous. Like my son, like, no, don't you? This is your parents'
He
bedroom.
just walk up in there?
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
He doesn't. But I've had conversations with adults that baffles him. It's like, oh, well, that's your kid. He wants to come hang out. No, my son
hang out.
My son is supposed to knock on
In
my
your
door.
room?
Yeah.
This my room. You
This
see
is
the
my
door
room.
closed, don't touch it. You
Absolutely.
ain't bought nothing
Or
in
if
here.
it's open, knock on the door. Daddy, can we talk? Or like, yeah, absolutely.
Man.
But you'd be surprised today how many parents, and I would say black parents, like how many parents would just let their kids walk all over. Man, my son does not just walk into my room.
Traditional, non-traditional, because some people don't see the need for that.
Oh man, that's crazy.
That's definitely a traditional
Mindset
standard.
You think so?
Yeah. But I would hope that it would be non-traditional.
That's what I'm saying.
I would think that would be something that will cross over and
Absolutely.
carry over to the next.
I don't think it does.
Don't walk up in my bed. What the hell wrong with you? Don't come in my room. You got your own space. I got mine. I can walk on yours when I get ready.
Yes.
Because you know why? Because it's mine
I
too.
tell my son, don't close no door. You don't close no doors in my house.
Like Tavia said, that's when them hinges come out. Lock it again.
The funniest thing, Aiden came home from school the other day and was like, "All right, Mom, I'm gonna change." And he went in his room and closed the door.
He don't want you to see
He
his
is
wee
4 years old, and that's
becoming
literally what he said. I
conscious.
said, "Aiden, Mommy, I don't want you to see me naked." I'm like, "Boy,
He's becoming conscious.
that's
I've been
crazy."
wiping you, boo. No, give me my
Right.
respect. No, boo.
Yeah.
Boo?
That's hard too.
Bro.
That's hard
I
too.
kind of got mad at my son. He called me bro the other day. Bro.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
Who you talking to?
Yeah.
Dad, you really mad? I said, yeah. Don't
mad,
I'm not
bro?
your friend.
You mad, bro?
Nah, he didn't say it like that. He did not say it like that. He was playing, and you got to check them on that stuff because if you let it go, they'll keep doing it. You gotta let people know that you have a problem with something. And it was a teachable moment. I didn't put my hands on them or nothing, but I definitely let them know, like, don't call me that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I feel like I'm one of your friends, like I'm one of your little friends. That's what we call them,
friends.
little friends.
Little
When we're
friends.
talking to, I'm not your little friend. Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
What about yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am? Yes, sir,
Absolutely.
no,
That's
sir.
a requirement, man. People,
Traditional, man. That's crazy.
but once again, big homie, I feel like that should. I just don't see why that wouldn't cross over to non-traditional. It blows my mind when Caleb and I are out in public at Walmart or just any type of social gathering, and even out to eat. The waiter will come by, waitress. What would you like to eat? Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And I get all these compliments. It's like, oh my gosh, he's so mannerable. I'm like, that's a requirement. Like I'm glad that they feel that way, but when people make statements like that, it just lets you know that type of structure is not prevalent. Exactly. I'm like, damn, I thought everybody was saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And if your kids aren't saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, why the fuck aren't they saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am?
A lot of people feel like, to half your point, they need to say it to other people, other adults, as a sign of respect. But some parents don't want, they more of having a friendship with their kid and say, hey, you can say yes and no. You don't say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
I say it to people. I say it all the time.
I still do. As a 32-year-old man, yeah. And then I even in the workplace professionally, like I say that to people, and you always get the, oh, don't say that. You make me feel old. And I tell them, I say, man, that's just my upbringing. Like, yes, ma'am. No, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
just-
how you kind of keep it professional.
Absolutely.
And we get out of that Me Too stuff, too. You know, when I just start calling you yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and sir, and all
Oh,
this.
yeah, baby and all.
Yeah, all that old babe. Well, you know, that is part of, the Southern thing.
Yeah, honey.
Baby, honey,
Honey,
baby,
darling,
sugar.
sweetheart.
Don't mean nothing
Sweetie.
about it, but, don't mean nothing by it. But,
Yeah.
this
Breaking
just
in
kind
HR, that was like in our rule book. You couldn't use any of those terms because first of all, you don't know if that person is like okay with that. They might feel like that could be sexual harassment. So
Oh, absolutely.
it's crazy. How
Yes,
Especially
ma'am.
if I say,
No,
Sugar and baby.
Oh,
and
sugar.
baby and all
Okay,
that,
yeah.
depending on how it roll off your tongue, too.
Yeah, and the tone, you
Oh,
know.
baby.
If you got the Barry White if you got the Barry White
Like
like
Terrence.
our
Or the
producer
Terrence.
Terrence J.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, it might be viewed as
Oh,
seductive.
baby.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
baby.
Shout out to the
gonna
producer
be
Terrence
all
J,
right.
Radio Therapy
Shout out
Network.
Terrence J with the smooth buttermilk
Yeah,
voice.
look, he might be trying to what's the S word? Might be not seductive.
Not seduce either.
Nah,
You talking about when you
serenade? You might be trying to
Oh,
serenade
yeah,
somebody. Yeah.
man.
Facts. So, good question. So, Aiden, with you, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Is that
Yes,
you?
yes.
You employ that?
I'm not. Yeah, Aiden's
Yeah.
not my friend.
Absolutely.
He's
You
my
already
best
know
friend.
it's in mine.
Oh, yeah. You try
I play sports, man. My whole life is about discipline.
Yeah.
And it's discipline, yes. You got to have structure in there. Boys need structure, period.
Yeah.
All of them need structure.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, all kids, all people need structure. If there's no structure, everybody gonna go wild. You know, we got to have systems of control. Period.
So what do you think? And we're going to examine it both ways, right? Because, like you said, it's always a balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's identify one thing from a traditional standpoint that may be detrimental to upbringing, and then let's identify something from a non-traditional standpoint that is beneficial. Something that maybe an older generation could have adopted.
Okay.
So traditionally, all of us growing up, what do you think is one thing that either we experience or even stuff that we pass down to our kids from a traditional parenting standpoint that we probably should take out of our tool bag?
Oh, just take that. Okay.
Probably should take out.
Yeah, take out of our tool bag.
Take out completely.
Something that we say, okay, like there's a lot, like you said, your parents are your first teachers, right? So there's a lot of shit that my dad did that his parents did, but at some point it's got to be on some generation to be like, okay, maybe that's not the
I don't think
best
everything
way.
my parents did to me was necessarily bad, man. It was
Really?
No, I don't, man. I just really don't. I really think a lot of it came from a place of love. You know what I'm saying? My mom and dad, when I got my whoopings, it wasn't just, hey, I'm beating the hell out of you. You know what I'm saying?
Did you get scolded when you got whoopings? Like, did you get talked to or yelled at
Absolutely during the whooping.
during the whooping? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew exactly what I did. I knew what I did was wrong.
See.
I knew what I did was wrong, and they called me on it exactly when I did it.
If that's one thing I had to identify, it would be that.
Was that calling you on it?
No, it would be the manner in which you discipline your kid, right? So my dad, and I don't want to speak for him because he may say different. I'm just saying the way that I perceived it as a child,
Mm-hmm.
when I was physically disciplined,
You got child eyes.
I
though,
feel
man.
like he was angry.
Absolutely,
so-
and disgruntled.
Yeah, but I think that we should I've tried to consciously take that out. If I'm going to discipline, Caleb, I make sure that I
You gonna
try
wait till
my
you cool down.
exactly. I try to make sure that I'm not disciplining him, yelling at him, screaming at him, and from an angry position. Because if I'm angry, that lick is a whole lot harder than what I'm really trying to teach you. So I don't think that you should discipline your kids like in the heat of the moment. And I know that I was disciplining in the heat of the moment. Now, I did something to piss my daddy out. Oh shit, that steam was coming out, and he's whooping me while he's hot. I would much rather him have cooled down. Give me a whooping, but don't whoop me while you're
I
angry.
need that
Because I
immediate
think that sends a different
yeah,
message.
Don't do that shit no more.
You know what I mean? That could go
that
a little
goes
over.
from don't do that shit to fucker don't do that shit.
Yeah,
Big time different.
yeah.
But I understand.
But
I deal
think
with
that
my
that's something we
kids.
should throw out of.
I tried it. I tried it with my kids. Cooling down.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
funner whooping them when
It's
you
funner.
cool. Yeah, it is. It's like go ahead, grab the doorknob. It's like, ooh. Yeah.
Shit.
You're not as mad. It goes from just it's a difference between an ass whooping and just getting
A whooping and a beating. How about that?
absolutely.
Difference between
It's
a beating
different
and a
getting a couple licks. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't now this is how my rule went. Once we got to that point.
Yeah.
Now this is after several talks. You're gonna put your hands up. We're not gonna have a fight. If we have a fight, it's gonna be a whooping.
Hands up, hands
Oh
down.
yeah, just go ahead and take your
Take
licks.
your ass whooping. Yeah.
This is what you done. This is why you getting this.
Yes.
Go ahead and take your punishment for it
Yeah.
and get it over with. But if you move, yeah, get it over with. But if you move, it's gonna get ugly for you. You see how my voice changed? It's gonna get ugly. And Mama was like, ooh. Hey, I said, yeah. And after a little while, he got to hold on. He learned after a couple times. He got on that floor and got the flip flop, and now you're getting hit everywhere.
Like a fish.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. If you didn't got me to that point, I done already talked to you several times.
Yeah.
You don't care anymore, so I don't care. Let me get a hold of you real quick and let you know.
So that's a big difference, right? And this is my opinion. Like you said several times. So I think
Several.
So I think right now I don't whoop my son off of first
No.
offense. I whoop him after it's been consistent. I would honestly say I was whooped off first offense. Because my daddy said,
Depending on what it was.
no, ain't no goddamn depending. Daddy, I love you. But no, my daddy said shit one time.
You was a bad kid.
And that was it. Like
You was doing some stuff.
There was no like, let's sit down. I'm gonna tell you what you did wrong, and I want to make sure you understand this and never do it again. It was, oh, this happened. You know
Fire.
better. You know better.
In the hole.
And a part of it, I did know better because some of the stuff that my dad taught me, I didn't have to get in trouble for him to explain a lesson. It was just natural upbringing. You don't do this. Like, you know what I mean? So if I go to school and show out, like, he doesn't need to come home and say, okay, why did you show out? You're in trouble.
Absolutely
like, I
not.
knew that I wasn't supposed to show out. So it
Yeah.
really didn't warrant a conversation. It was like one and done.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's changed this generation.
Yeah.
I give my son 2 to maybe 3 strikes before I tear that ass up.
And now they just getting strikes.
I know.
Now they
Oh,
just
now
getting,
the ass, yeah.
yeah, now they just getting strikes. So you just gonna keep doing that. And I'm saying this because I work with kids, man. I see it every day. It's like this kid absolutely has no fear of any adult. Not you embarrassing your parents, and they still getting you stuff. They
Yeah.
still continue. I don't even see the discipline
Right.
going on. You still have the same access to the same stuff, and the behavior is the same. Once you get outside of school, nobody gonna give you all those chances. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things my sons understand, man. Nobody's gonna tell me my sons were just blatantly and continuously disrespectful with them.
It's
You're
harder-
not gonna do that
As hard
because
as your
that's not me.
boys- As hard as your boys think you are on them, and as hard as Aiden may think that you are on him, like you made a great point. Outside of those 4 walls, that world is gonna be 10 times harder. So if you think I'm hard on you, I tell my son I'm hard on you because this world don't give a don't give a shit about you. So if you think I'm hard, this world is 10 times harder.
Exactly.
So I have to instill some type of structure in you so that you can withstand.
Give them a
You know
sense
what
of
I'm saying?
home, man.
Yeah.
Give them a sense of this. Hey, it's us against the world, man. You got to understand that you are an extension of everybody in your households.
Yeah.
I say, son, you are an extension of me. You're not going to go. If I don't embarrass you, have I ever did that? Don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. Because the first time you do something, they're gonna be like, "Who his parents are?"
Yeah, facts.
And who's his grandparents?
Facts.
I know what my mom and them stood for, and
Yeah.
my neighborhood, what we stood for, man. We have a responsibility to raise these kids, and we know what type of world that they're going into. They can get killed out in them streets. There's bullies everywhere.
Right.
My generation
Police,
is why
everything.
that's why we have the bullying stuff in place now. Oh man, you just had to fight. You had to fight then, and so. If you just imagine these kids today don't know how to fight.
Shit,
Come on, man. They
No
get
rap.
caught in situations and
Put a gun.
Man.
That's it.
nah, I'm just not even that.
Or they get
Not
just-
even that.
just
They
get
just
their
get
ass
mopped. Just get mopped. Mopped, and then I think maybe the suicide rate
Yeah,
is
that's
up
what
for
I'm gonna
kids
say.
too.
You have kids.
Man,
that's,
they just
absolutely.
when something don't go their way, all of a sudden the world is over with.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to whether it's giving them punishment or giving them whooping, both of them work. But you have to really try to balance it yourself, and give these kids a sense of pride.
It's funny that you say that because anybody of all the people of all the cast members on the show, my background a little bit more. But no, definitely, man. So like I was rambunctious growing up. So yeah, man, my dad he used to put hands on me, man. So to your point, like growing up fighting, I was like, oh man, if I can take my daddy licks, man,
You was definitely one of those guys
these
that,
niggas
you know
out here
what,
didn't stand a
fuck
chance.
it, I'm gonna go and take this L. You know, when I get done, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
But see, though, okay, so I definitely want to touch on that. Before I do that, I'm gonna ask the queen.
Uh-huh.
So traditional, what would you throw out of your tool bag based on your experience? What would you throw out and say, okay, we need to lose that with today's generation?
Definitely keep your calm.
Oh my God.
No, seriously. I think I would take out. So you said it's the manner in which. I think it's the derogatory names that people sometimes.
Yeah, that's
like,
out of anger.
Yeah, like you stupid, you dumb, like calling your kids that, even when they're about to get a whooping, or if they do something. Just,
Did you get called those names when you got?
Daddy, I love you. But he would call my actions that, like, that's stupid, or that's dumb,
Okay.
or that's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life. That is the stupidest
That's a little
thing
bit
ever.
different from calling somebody that, though.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
well,
your
yeah.
kids decipher between.
But
you
I was
calling them
called that, though, at some times.
Oh, okay.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's probably a slip up, though. When you hiding fire.
Like,
Right,
he's trying to justify your
right,
daddy action.
right.
Yeah,
And so I'm just trying,
yeah,
because
I mean,
I feel like everything my dad did, he did it out of love. So
Correct.
it's hard to say what I wouldn't, because I was going to say, well, he needs to be my friend. But he was raised where he wasn't his parents'
Yeah.
friend.
So this is you. I mean, this
Yeah.
is you
So
experiencing
I
that
say
having a kid.
Just
What
the
would you
name
take out?
calling, because I would never call Aiden stupid and
Yeah,
dumb,
okay.
because I
Facts.
don't want him thinking, I'm just stupid, I'm just dumb.
Facts.
So.
All right, so now let's flip it. Traditional. What do you think that, I guess, with the change in times, things that we've identified now that, I would be like, yo, Dad, like, this is effective. Like, you should have did this with me.
Okay,
Like,
so
yeah.
non-traditional.
Yeah, non-traditional. What do you think that we? Because everybody learns from everybody, right? And our and I'm sure each one of our parents is not at home saying, "Yo, I did everything right by my kid." Like they did what they knew, right?
Right.
So I'm sure that my dad can look back and be like, "Yo, I probably would have done some things differently, right?"
absolutely.
So what do you think with this generation? Because everything grows. Non-traditional parenting. What do you think that we could teach our parents? Because our parents can learn from us, right?
Yeah.
Let the kids have a voice.
Yes.
Let them have a voice.
Daddy, I just want to be heard.
Yeah. Yeah, just, let the kids have a voice and have open dialogue with them. A less of a dictatorship and, more of an open environment.
Yeah.
To make people feel safe to speak,
Right.
not in a disrespectful way,
Right.
but at least you got a platform where you can do it,
Yeah.
And not only that, like you said, not become so robotic. Have your own thoughts on stuff in independence, not just just because my parents told me so, this is what I'm supposed to do. It could have been a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
I think that kind of stifled me on some stuff too, because I was like this.
Up and down.
I go to school, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
But I didn't get in trouble, though.
Even when you're around the house, you feel like you gotta act and behave in a certain manner.
I still, but it wasn't necessarily bad, but it did hurt me in some ways.
Yeah.
It hurts creativity and innovation and all that. So, you can't have too much of one thing and think it's not gonna hurt the next.
Right.
Facts.
Well, I can say, like, to this day, I feel like the conversations that I have with my dad are really more so still like young daughter Octavia. Because even when I tell him some of the things I'm doing, it's like he doesn't take me serious because he doesn't see me as an adult. So I feel like I would tell my dad too, like, that it's okay. Like, I know I'm a child and I'm a child's place and I'm never on your level, whatever you want to say. But it's like, listen to what I'm saying, because sometimes I can teach you something. Sometimes he feels like you can't teach me nothing. I have been through life. I'm more wise than you, yada, yada. I'm like, I understand that. But did you have Facebook back in the day? Because when you're trying to figure out how to update that profile picture.
What's an email?
Exactly. Or what is Tweeter? How do you tweet? I'm like,
Tweeter.
what is Tweeter? So just being able to have, because I would love to call my dad today and just tell him about some of the guy issues that I have going on. If I told him, he would, like, that conversation, I don't even know what that's like. So, I would definitely
To have a conversation about men or boys. I mean,
I could, because I'm a grown woman, but it would be so
Awkward.
or it would be don't do this. Like, it's just more like, I don't even want to hear about the situation. If I say, Daddy, well, he does this, nope, don't talk to him. And it's like, I can't. And just knowing, like, I feel like that messed me up growing up, just being able to not have that conversation.
Yeah. You
had
have a voice.
guy issues. I thought every guy that tried to talk to me was trying to come on to me. So I'm like, nope, don't talk to me. And it's like,
How
dang.
was it? So how was it when you told your dad you were pregnant with Aiden?
That was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life because I disappointed
My
him.
Lord.
I called.
How old is Aiden?
He's 4.
Okay.
He's 4. He'll be 5 this year. So 2015, calling my dad on the phone. Hey, Daddy, I'm pregnant.
Wow.
Did
He
you
was
just
like,
lay it
that's
on him?
exactly what he said.
Did you just lay it on him, or you say, "Hey, the Bulls are winning"? And by the way, I have
we had
pregnant.
to go to
How was
dinner
your
that
day,
night.
Daddy?
We had to go to dinner that night, and I didn't tell him until I was 5 months. So
Oh man.
we were going to dinner that night, and I was showing, and I just called him, and he said, "Wow." That was the only thing he said to me. And
Oh,
Wow.
so you didn't tell him? Well, I'm gonna say
She
you
waited
didn't
till
tell
she
him.
got thick.
well,
Yeah, but I'm saying you
and
didn't
also,
even tell him face to face.
because that he would have just saw me
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So I was
yeah.
trying to give him like, hey,
Heads up.
are we still going to dinner tonight?
You
We were
throw
going
that
with
alley.
other family members, and so
Woo.
yeah, he
To
was.
try to get that
When I
cushion.
saw him, he looked at me with like so much disgust and disappointment, and I was like,
Oh my goodness. I can
yeah, that was.
I can feel the thickness in the fog right now.
And to this day, he's like, that was probably like one of the hardest things I had to go through, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah, my God.
right, but see, we could have these conversations like, hey, Daddy, like this guy such and such, like having that real conversation. But when you just so dictatorship, no boys, no boys, no boys, it's like ever, you know.
Yeah, and that's not
Exactly,
really
so
that's
it's
not
not
really
realistic.
equipping you to handle boys.
That's what I'm saying. So when I got older,
You
a
didn't.
man would come and say, hey, how you doing? Nope, I can't talk to you. And it's like,
There
what
you
is
go.
your
That's right. That's
problem?
exactly what you're supposed to do.
I mean, yes, but like even at work, like, having a male boss and you know, like it just not feeling comfortable having a conversation with him, it affected my life a lot.
Yeah.
But now I feel like he can kind of see it, but it's still you gonna date this kind of guy, this kind of guy, this kind of guy. If not, you're not dating him.
To this day.
To this
To this day.
Damn.
day. So yeah, so that would be one thing.
I would have told my daughter that too. Don't talk to nobody.
I mean, but he does that because he was trying to protect.
We don't
me in
mean
a
you're
sense,
no
but
good.
In a sense,
But the only way he knew, he did it the only way he knew how.
only way.
We don't
so
mean
I
you're no
can't-
good at least till you pass 25. Everything before that, we trying to get some.
Hey,
It was-
and that's what he was
I
telling me
don't give a
basically. Like, I was getting my tires. This guy was talking to me in Spanish. I was talking to him back. Look at him, just
Look
over there
at him
flirting.
trying to
I'm
get-
like, he's not, Daddy. Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
And look,
he
he's trying
is.
to talk to Aiden. He flirting. I'm like, Daddy, I know everybody is flirting with me in your eyes.
Probably.
So,
Probably, maybe not. Maybe not.
see, so
Yeah, I would piggyback off Big Homie. I
To
would
this
say-
day.
I was
Sorry. My bad.
to this day, I would definitely say a voice, man. To your point, man, you hit a lot of great points. Creativity, just like yeah, man. Like, and be honest with you, I stopped whooping Caleb when I started seeing the negative effects of it. When I started seeing him walk into our home and be like, "Yo, I got to turn it on." Like, yo, you know, just sitting at it. He became robotic, you know, sitting at a table. And don't granted, you know, I definitely want my son to have, you know, etiquette manners and stuff like this. But it was just like, just the way that he kind of moved. It was kind of like he was making every step and kind of looking to make sure, damn, am I doing something wrong? Is my daddy looking at me? Am I like? And I was like, I don't want that.
Mhm.
I don't want that. And it was even like crazy stuff, you know, Daddy, can I do this? Can I do this? I'm like, you don't have to ask me to do that. It's that, you know, that's the creativity and the independence that we talked about. Like you said, your classroom, you don't need to ask me to go to the bathroom. Like you don't need to ask me that. If you have to go to the bathroom, just excuse yourself and go to the bathroom. You know.
Yeah.
So when I started seeing that level of discipline, maybe and make him become a little timid, then that's when I got a little lax. I was like, all right, he needs some independence. But yeah, man, like I said, there's no blueprint to this shit, man. We figure it out as we go, man. But you know, to all the listeners, the viewers, man, just understand that, you know, our kids are a lot smarter than what we realize and what we think, and just understand that any seeds that we plant, whether positive or negative, are gonna stay with those kids for their adulthood, man. So just be conscious that your kids are human beings, and, you know, try to understand your kids, give your kids a voice, and figure out what the best parenting style is. I would say for any new parent, don't approach parenting with a preconceived notion to say this is how the household's going to be run. Your kid is going to change year in, year out, month in, month out. Their personality is going to change, so you're forever going to be figuring out the best ways to interact with your child, man. Yeah. So that's the topic, man. It's time to dive into Dear Black People. I've been kind of waiting.
Trying
for
to talk my shit.
Yeah, time to talk my shit, man. And again, I want to say I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor, man. All I can do is tell people what's worked for me and my kid, and I pray for the best that my son turns out. That's all we can do.
There's no perfect answers for that.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I think even if you write a book or you read a book, it's still got to be applied to different situations.
Yeah, it's subjective. Your book is subjective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It reminds me of Harry Wong's book, The Art of Teaching. This guy, everything in the book is about teaching in a perfect classroom. When
you ain't got no perfect class? He ain't been to South
Lincoln.
Dallas.
He ain't been to Lincoln and Medicine. Where you got homeless kids and kids that parents don't ever see their parents that come school dirty. What about them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What about them? What about the kid that don't know how to read or whatever? Or what about the kid that's been getting raped or whatever?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
That don't. That
book don't mean shit to them.
Man. School don't. Coming to school to eat does. Let me find something to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's no perfect way to raise a kid, man. I think we try to do the best job we can, and at the end of the day, I just never want to stop talking to my kids.
Right.
I don't want to feel like I didn't do enough. I think we fight between did I do enough, or did I do too much?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would rather say I did too much than just enough. So I'm gonna keep talking to my kids and everybody else's kids.
It's kind of like rather having your clothes a little too big than too small. I had that shopping.
You can't make an X.
Exactly. Yeah, I had that shopping dilemma. You can throw something in the dry and hope it shrink.
You can't make an X come up, dog.
Facts. Man, let's dive into Dear Black People, man. Y'all know what the time it is, man. It's our time for the Talk to Me Nice cast to address the black community with anything that's on our mind, on our hearts, or in our soul. We're gonna play with it this time. Big homie, we're gonna let you kick it out.
Oh, thank you. Dear Black People, I want to, this comes from an area of, I work out every day. Well, probably at least about 5 days a week. I don't think we as a black people take our health this serious, especially some of the black women. We think ass is everything. We do. We think we find, baby, if your ankles is the same size as your thighs, baby, that ain't good.
Or if your
stomach bigger than your ass. My stomach bigger than my ass, but you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no room to talk. And I don't know if we even supposed to have ass as a man, but I'm just telling you, we have to do better from that standpoint because we think we can wear anything. And we find just because they made spandex, baby, it ain't for everybody. No shots at nobody like Lizzo or nothing like that. No body shaming, but I know what the fuck I don't like to look at. You know what I'm saying? I know what attracts me. She look good to somebody. She just don't look great to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't look great to me, but that's, you know what, that's another story. But
she's going to speak for you.
I can only speak for what I like, for what I like and what I'm maybe attracted to and maybe not. So, black people, take your health seriously.
Facts. Queen, let them have it.
All right, dear black people, I want us to look at every situation as a blessing or a lesson. Sometimes we get into things and we wish we never went through them, or we live our life with a bunch of regrets. But we have to take each and every situation that's came our way and look at it as something that we can learn from. We should learn from everything, but something that you can learn from, or a blessing that happened to you. So I never want us to live our life with regrets. Rather, as look at every situation as something that has basically been a stepping stool for your next situation. So,
facts. I would say, dear black people, recognize opportunities in life. I think that specifically in the black community, we don't identify something as an opportunity unless there's a dollar sign attached to it. You know what I mean? Non-paid internships, those are opportunities, man. Being around a certain group and being able to soak up information like a sponge. Every opportunity in life is not necessarily going to be beneficial for you immediately, right? but it can put you in a position to excel later on in life. So I think that we have a bad habit of saying, okay, well, there's nothing in that for me right now. You know what I mean? But excelling in life is definitely not about the right now. So I would say change your mindset and understand that every opportunity is not going to come again with the price tag on it. It's just positioning yourself to be able to make that monetary goal that you have happen later on down the road. I know people that would turn down certain things. You know what I mean? Well, I ain't getting paid for that, so I'm not going to go to that. Or I got to pay $50 to go to this seminar. That might be the best $50 you've ever invested. You invest $50 to go sit down and listen to people who can tell you how to make millions. You know what I mean? So it costs you something to learn something. But a lot of people wouldn't pay that. I don't want to pay $50. You wouldn't pay $50 to make $1 million? I would. So I would say understand that every opportunity does not come with the price tag, and make sure that when those moments present themselves to you, seize the moment. Please seize the moment. But that's the show for today, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Definitely, I enjoyed this dialogue today, man. Let's Talk to Me Nice Cast. We're here week in, week out. You have any questions, concerns, or just want to provide us with feedback, man, we love talking to you guys. Please subscribe, listen, share a comment with us, share our podcast with a friend, and we're going to keep this thing going consistently. But let's go around the table and let the people know where they can find us. Big homie.
Big Von 78 on IG, and the Von Solo Experience on YouTube.
You got any new posts? I ain't looked.
No, I haven't, man. I gotta get better at that, man. This is a different game. Just like she was talking about her dad, I'm as good as and savvy as I am with computer stuff, man. I'm actually kind of slow on sharing stuff, man. I'm really more private than what people think I am.
Yeah.
So yeah. It will be some more fresh content. That's a job, man.
It is a job, bro.
That is a job.
But prior to this podcast, y'all know, man, I ain't have no social media, so it's damn near a headache. This is a business.
Hey, what's it like?
Shit. I'm like, man, all right, you got to post this, keep this up going.
What's a caption?
Like, man,
it's a work.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
The hashtags got to be there.
Oh my God.
They have to be there, man.
Consistency,
they have to be there.
Facts.
All right, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Artavia. That's ART.A.VIA. You can follow me on Facebook at Artavia Rochelle, or you can follow me on Snapchat at Artavia.H.
Facts. I'm gonna give a shout out to PokeFit. You can find him on Instagram at PokeFit. I don't know his website and all that good stuff, but y'all can see.
He don't know it either.
He don't know it. Yeah, sometimes he give it, sometimes he don't, man.
Google PokeFit.
Yeah, we love PokeFit, man. Check him out on Instagram at PokeFit. But y'all know what it is, man. It's your boy CP The Real. Y'all can catch me on Instagram at CP_The Real. One word, THEREAL. But we here week in, week out, man. Talk to me nice, man. We're gonna continue to talk our shit, because talking shit makes us feel good. We hope you continue to talk yours. Talk to me nice. We out.